So one of the things I also want to touch on for resumes. So resumes, what are some of the skills that I had problems with, right? Some of the issues that I would have problems with being new into the field. If you're new to the field, it's kind of hard to know what you can and can't put on your resume just because you have less experience, right? And it's kind of unfair to say because you worked on something for a few days that you're really qualified for the position. So what I did for me personally is, first of all, I tried to use as many things from my past as before. So I came from a sole proprietorship, so I had a lot of organization, management skills. I created pipelines for another company for video editing and that whole setup. After Effects, I knew some regular expressions, so let's go ahead and use that and put that over there. My website, I had to start messing with the code a little bit. So, all right, so let's take a little bit of HTML, throw it over here, right? And then the thing is that this was not just exclusive, but the point is that I can pull from that as a reference point. And then what I would do over here, oh, by the way, global management, working with people from around the world, we'll put that over there too. Okay, cool. Working remotely. So I'm working with a team. just keep inserting these little things that just keep popping into my head. So the point is that you can definitely, if you brainstorm hard enough, you'll find all these things. They're the common things that every employer wants, right? But they want to know you have experience with it, right? And you can't just say like, team builder or whatever, right? I mean, just reference the actual experience portion of it, right? And don't dabble too much on it, right? So obviously going into more of the website of things, they're not as interested in my character animation, but the management side, working with the team, all those other stuff, right? Regular expressions, all that stuff can go in here and that's fine, right? So here I have my web resume, right? And it's changed and tweaked and whatever depending on what position I was applying to. And one of the problems that I had is just, not having real world experience, right? I didn't actually work for a company yet. So, but what I did do is I found a way to incorporate code and use that. So all right, so Visual Basic Script from this company, yep, taught myself, helped the company out, boom, put that over here. And what I can do essentially is, instead of advertise myself as a super focused front-end developer guy, what I can do is I can show like, hey, I can program, I can do some back-end stuff, I can do some front-end stuff, I know this, I've been messing with this, here's an app I've been exploring, and I can go ahead and do all those things. Because at the end of the day, what I was really trying to sell is, I'm willing to learn. I can teach myself anything. And, an investment in me is the ability for somebody who's going to be willing to learn from your guys. So I'm not like hard-headed as far as whatever that goes, right? As far as like, I've been doing this for a long time and this is the way it works no matter what. I'm flexible. And I'm obviously willing to learn. I would say probably the biggest thing, that's probably the biggest factor, to be honest. The gaps in my resume, the gaps in my experience or my skill set was actually offset by the fact that I tried to keep pushing the fact that if I don't know, I will find out. Because at the end of the day, a lot of development is finding stuff out. You have to use Google. You have to research. You have to, tweak your brain and kind of figure things out. And, when the time comes, ask questions, work collaboratively. So you need to do all of that in order to be a good developer. And I think that's ultimately where I was able to sell myself the most, to really fill in those gaps. Do you know WordPress? Not really. I mean, just the front end side a little bit because I use it a little bit for my blog, but not, I don't really know PHP. I haven't really messed with it, but I hear it's easy and I can definitely figure it out, right? That was essentially how I went into things with some questions, right? And surprisingly, it was one of the things that helps and works as a factor that built. And and now that's not the case, right? Because now I am more familiar with WordPress and PHP and how the back end side of things work and all of that. So yeah, there's a learning curve, but there's gonna be a learning curve no matter where you go, because every company's got their own process. So think about that, and they're gonna have their own workflow pipeline. So think about that, and they're gonna have their own tools. So consider that. There's gonna be gaps in your knowledge no matter what. And I think the thing is that the industry realizes that it is impossible to get somebody who knows anything and everything, or be a master of all these things, because there's a lot of frameworks, there's a lot of libraries, there's just way too much. Okay, sometimes you'll see the Java requirements and it's got like like 50 things on there, right? And you're like, oh my gosh, nobody's qualified for this position. Or, you know, who has 10 years experience with React? I don't even know how is that even possible? That's not even a valid request. How does that even make sense, right? You need to be a software guru ninja in, you know, this thing, right? It's just, so also keep in mind, sometimes what they hear are buzzwords. So the person who's putting together the list, they're just like, all right, so they're just asking to the senior developer, like, well, what do they need? Okay, well, it'd be nice if they knew this, and they include that, right? Oh, it'd be nice if they knew this. Okay, cool, we'll include that. And then they just put in some things. So it's not always as hard fast to the guidelines as you might think. You know, I don't know all industries, but at least from what I've seen so far, there definitely seems to be a little bit more flexibility with that. Your resume, your experience, and I think, you know, how you vibe with the company, and, you know, any personal projects, I think do more to sell you than what experience you have, particularly with everything that they're requesting. So if you're new to the job, looking for a job, or whatever the case is, you know, don't be afraid to be like, I don't really know this, but I could find out. Or I looked into it. I dabbled with it a little bit. I explored it on this thing, and, you know, do you guys use that? All right, well, I can go ahead and mess around with it more. It didn't seem that complicated, or whatever the case is, you know. Don't be afraid to say that you don't know, but you're willing to find out, and ultimately you'll do fine. You'll do fine. Don't worry about it. Thank you guys for listening. If you're curious about what skill gaps you might have in your resume, how you should fix them, I mean, that's pretty much how you should do it. It's just, you know, explain, you know, be honest. Honesty is gonna be the best policy on a lot of this stuff. Yeah, honesty is the best policy. Go with that. You'll be safe and good to go. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a nice day.